I think probably we can start. And firstly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Joey. I'm the sales for the BYD battery box sales in the Australia and New Zealand market. And for today's webinars, we'll focus on 3 parts. So before we start it, today we actually have other 2 colleagues. Leo is from Els Power and Jay as well. They are the BYD Australian local service partner. I think some of you are already familiar with them, especially when you already installed the BYD battery before. And today, both of them also introduced the product in the later stage. And myself, so I haven't put my pictures here because I think you can see my face. And yeah, nice to meet you guys. Okay, so the content for today. Firstly, for those who haven't heard of the BYD before, about 10 minutes, introduce the BYD company. And then the second part, 20 to 30 minutes for the Battery-Box new 2020 Premium series, which will introduce by Jay. And then the after sales service update and Q&A in the chat. And also for by Leo is the product demo. Okay, so I think a lot of people probably know the BYD already. So BYD stands for Build Your Dreams and also Bring You Dollars. So that's our mission. That's our dream. And the BYD company was established in 1995. And currently we have over 220,000 employees all across the world because BYD is a very large manufacturer. And also globally, we have over 30 industrial parks. And the revenue last year, we have got $19 billion US dollars revenue last year in 2019. And you can see from this slide, so BYD actually is a global, have the global footprint in US, Africa, Europe, and Australia. So we actually have the office, the local office in Sydney, and also other states. So it's actually have the global presence. So what BYD is doing, from the very beginning when BYD was founded, the first business that we were doing was the electronics. So you can see from here that all the customers here, like the Samsung, LG, Huawei, Apple, Google, all the customers, actually the BYD customers. So we provide the small battery for the cell phone brands. And we also provide the metal cases for all these cell phone. And some of the customer we supply, we offer the assemble service. So actually you are using the BYD product, but you may not aware of that. And the second one is the battery. So from the very beginning up to now, the battery for BYD is always the core technology. So BYD has over 25 years for the battery R&D and the production. And we also have a whole industrial chain layout. And very important that all the battery facility is 100% intelligent and automatic. And also, I think you're aware that BYD also manufactured the cars. So the battery is actually already verified over 10 years for the BYD vehicles in the applications. Have the very good tracking record on the market. And the third business for the BYD is the energy. So we actually, the BYD provide from the small scale, the residential energy storage systems, which is our battery box product, and to the commercial, which also the battery box product, and to the large scale, the containerized storage systems. So we actually have the whole range of the product to cover the whole applications. I'm talking about the battery. So we actually have very, very strong end-to-end R&D capability. you may notice that on the market, there's a lot of the battery manufacturers, no matter it's small or big, but some of the manufacturers, they can only do the pack manufacturers and also the module manufacturers. And some others, they can also do the BMS, R&D manufacturer, and the cell manufacturer. But only a few manufacturers, they have the whole supply chain from the very beginning, the raw material, and the cell production, the module production, and the pack, and to the final recycle. And the BYD is actually one of the few to have the whole production line to control from the very beginning to the end, the whole process, to make sure that the quality we provide is good and the price we provide is good. So that's the reason I think you can trust the BYD company. Okay, so that's basically the short introduction for the company. And the second part, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Jay from Els Power, and he'll give you more update of the very exciting product, the Battery-Box Premium. Over to you, Jay.
Okay, hi guys. Can you hear me? All right. Thanks, Joey, and thanks to everyone joining today. And my name is Jay. You probably talked if you installed BYD battery before. You probably we talk on the phone and on the surveys or answer some questions. And I'll start the battery introduction. So first. Today, we're going to mainly cover the high voltage battery, but also introduce a little bit on the low voltage range, which is we already mentioned on the yesterday recording webinar, sorry. And just give you a little bit, the roadmap of how BYD batteries, the evolution of the BYD battery over the past few years for the global market and also for the Australian market. And simply, the 2.5 batteries, I believe you guys, if you install BYD, you know this product. It was actually, developed back in 2008, and it was mainly for telecommunication market. And then in 2012, is basically this battery also, using for application for a residential storage. And then in 2016, which is, the battery products coming into the lithium battery, especially coming into people's mind, like they can using these batteries for their house for storage. And that's the first one we introduced and bring to the Australian market. And the next year, we have the IP55 cabinet, the white cabinet. And later that year, we also releasing a special stack and plate design, like basically quick connectors, no cable required. And the design is good, but it's basically a quite new, structure of the battery, which is there's no other battery manufacturer doing that before. So this year and 2020, now we learn from the past and we know what the path we should go and basically what kind of the products, what the market wants. And now we have the improved versions of the stackable design. And for another battery, which is the very familiar 13.8, and it also have more than around 10 years of the experience when the BYD developed that product. And this year we are releasing the 48 volts range 15.4, which is also we're getting feedbacks. For example, like why can't you put two cabinets on top of each other? Then now, okay, we give it to you. Like you can put in another batteries on top of each other now. And the high voltage range, which is the main part we're talking about today. And Leo gonna actually show you what exactly, what the changes between the old generation and the new generation of the products, what changes, what features we're putting on the batteries. And you will see basically in the second half of the presentation. And this just give you a summarize, like an overview, what products actually, what we offered back in 2019, and this year, what products you can purchase from the market. So all the BYD batteries is already replaced with the premium series. And today we're gonna mainly cover those two. And if you're missing the webinars from yesterday, we talked about the LVS and LVL already. Just letting us know, we can send you recording as well, and basically also product demonstration as well. On the market share, and you can see this is from a third-party research that in Germany. And in 2017, BYD as a Chinese battery manufacturer, and the products wasn't really recognized from the market, and no one barely hear, what BYD is, what BYD do, why they releasing a product, battery products. But soon it's already changed to, the BYD suddenly become a number 3 in the Germany market, which is one of the most experienced or most willing to take new technologies, which is the Germany market. And they the market share of the BYD on 2018 is number 3. And 2019, the BYD basically didn't really, we are the one of the companies that's basically the sales is doubled or even tripled every year. The data is on your left is for European market, and on the right-hand side for the Germany market. And you can see a big jump from BYD, and we're approaching to number 1, hopefully for the 2020. And just let you know, for the Australian market, and we only have the data basically from the same resource, and we're ranked number 3. And the 2019 data, which is they haven't been released. Once they release, we'll let you guys know. This just giving you, idea how many batteries or how many installations that BYD already delivered, which is more than 100,000 of the installations till Q2 2020, and each system roughly 7 to 10 kilowatt hours and cover 27 countries. Some of the awards, I believe you saw those from different battery manufacturers. I wouldn't cover too much on this, but just show you the BYD battery is having most awards from comparing to different batteries. This is one of the system performance index. That's the system tested in also the Germany market, and we are ranking. You can see the cover part, which is with different inverters and with the BYD battery. We all ranking the performance index is very high. That's cover the efficiency of the system, how much the system cost, what's the payback of the system, and the reliability of the system. Okay, now go back to the products. So first is the low voltage range for 48 volts. And the starting point is for low voltage small, the LVS is 4.0 and the LVL is 15.4. And you can, ideally, this is the maximum you can possible parallel multiple batteries to 256 or roughly 1 megawatt hour. Putting the IP ratings here, just let you know, because in the Australian market, some batteries you can put inside, some batteries you couldn't, or actually you can't put outside. For example, IP20, just give you a quick explanation what IP20 is. The 2 is the resistance to the dust, and the 0 is the resistance to moisture or water. So 0 means no resistance to any water, so you have to put the batteries in the garage, under the shed, no way the battery reaches any water. But for most of those like a residential, a grid tie system, the customer with the new Australian battery installation standard, there's no way you can put in the batteries inside the house anymore. Then the IP55 is most important is when you're selecting the batteries, make sure they are IP55 or in the standards is IP23. That's the minimum, but I don't think this one is able to get your battery outside to run in 10 years. That's not nearly possible. And further down, those two, the high voltage small and high voltage medium will be the one we mentioned more in the later slides. And the starting point is 5.1 and 8.3. And the same story here, you can parallel multiple batteries and getting to a larger size, for example, 38 or even 66. The more detailed difference, why there's two different ones, why we can release one a high voltage battery, I'll mention that in the next, in the later slide. And also this year, all the BYD products, doesn't matter is on-grid, off-grid, you don't have to worry about that. So the only difference is the battery, the performance or the power output is really high. Then the batteries, you don't have to worry, is that battery can do on-grid or off-grid? The more question is the compatible inverters, for example, SMA or Selectronic, those ones are pure off-grid. Definitely with the BYD battery, they can do off-grid. But with those batteries, they are called the emergency backup or the hybrid inverters. For some of those, they don't support the off-grid. Then even though your battery support off-grid, but the inverter is limiting the power output and won't let you to actually do the off-grid system. We see many customers, it's not a mistake, it's more like a lesson they learned. They thought the system can do it, but technically the inverters is the limitation that won't able to meeting the requirement from the customer. And further down is the compatible inverters, which today we only mentioned this one, and that will be the Goodway SMA, the new Furnace, and the new Sungrow three-phase high voltage inverters. And to be pointed out, the Furnace Primo and the Samo G24 in Australia, when they release those two new inverters, the BYD batteries will be the only battery that's compatible in the beginning, which means there's no other batteries you can do the installation with Furnace Samo at the moment, all right? And further down is, as I mentioned, sorry, the stackable design where the BYD is the first one to release that design of the battery and with the quick connectors, so no cable required between each batteries. And also the high scalabilities, which means you can starting with small and you can expand to a larger system. Further down is the new feature we released is called the Byd Connect app. At the moment, this app can give you, all the wonderful things, but it takes time for us to actually, deliver the app with all the functions to you guys. So first, basically, now the app is you need to using to commission the battery, not only to commission on the inverters, you also need to commission on the batteries as well. And secondly, you need to do the firmware updates. You can checking the local status of the, checking the battery status locally through the Wi-Fi. And those are the functions already available now. And in the short future, we're gonna add in more features like, on the installation steps of the batteries, you can follow step by step. You can log in your account, check your warranties, and those are the things that we're working on this app. Hopefully this app will basically bring a little bit smart to the battery system. And they're just, because all the BYD batteries, they is really, even though it's a plug and play, but you cannot see anything. If the system wrong, there's no way you can tell what's wrong. But now with the app, you can definitely tell. And further down is the remote service, which is, this is not a monitoring for the customer or for the installer. It's more like if issue happens, and if you connect the new BYD battery through a LAN cable, which allow you to, giving the BYD team, which is, we have, wonderful, like more than 10 guys, they are working on this, is if issue happens, they can check in on the remote monitoring. They can tell, okay, what's wrong, and do you need a replacement, and what's the system doing? They can tell right away, rather than we ask you to go there and check it. All right, this is just show you the standards, which is, I wouldn't explain that one by one, but it's just show you our BYD batteries. We share the same technology with the BYD cars, the car battery, which is giving us the highest standards, the safety standards for the batteries, which is very important for the residential storage, especially you're putting a battery that's next to your bed or next to your house. Is quite important to make them safety, right? And why is safety? I believe you guys heard this a lot. Like, there's two different chemistries. One is called NCM. The other one is called lithium iron phosphate. BYD have both technologies and have applications using both chemistries. But why we're using the lithium iron phosphate for the home storage? Why can't we using this one? The main reason is because the thermal runaway temperature, the performance of the chemistry, which is able to let the BYD battery first to become safety. And secondly is to have a high performance, high output power, particularly. And some of our other competitors, they are using this one. But if you actually search in Google, like, searching Tesla, and lithium iron phosphate battery, or LFP, you will see they are transforming their car batteries to this one actually. So I wouldn't say too much about this, but I believe Tesla made a good choice to just swapping to different chemistries now. Just more comparison. Basically, on the left-hand side, those are the lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're in the same price range with the BYD battery. And you can see, basically on the outside of the battery, they look very much similar. Like, they are black boxes, they are white boxes, their lights, their breakers. What's the difference? But when you open up the cover, you can tell the difference right away. Like, for example, how the structure like these batteries can run 10 years, I don't know. Like, basically this is, I think the safety of this battery is, really worried about. And if you're comparing to our old 2.5 batteries or our new premium batteries, which is, you see, we're putting a lot of the money, which is the customer pay for, that's in the structures, that's in the quality of the battery. That's something, really expensive we're putting inside. And further down, just mainly cover this one today, the high voltage small and the high voltage medium. Okay, why we released two different ones? The main reason is for we having two different models. One is good for power, which is kilowatt. The other one is good for the energy, kilowatt hours. So what those means? So for example, we have a Fronius SAMO G24, which is the Fronius new one, and 10 kilowatt. And you are installing with the HVS 10.2 or it's HVM 11.0. They are very much similar, size of the batteries. And for customer, okay, I need to discharge the battery in 1 hour, 60 minutes. Then this will be your choice. If I don't need that much of the power, I want to discharge my batteries maximum at 2 hours, then you have 11.0. And is that possible, I can still using the HVM and discharge at 10 kilowatt with furnace? Yes, definitely you can, but you just need to oversize your batteries. So with the 22.1, for example, you can also discharge the battery or charge the battery at 10 kilowatt. So like, is the 10 kilowatt or the 1C charge or discharge rating of the battery, is that important for the customer? For most scenarios, is not really. But if you considering the emergency backup, so for example, okay, there's a blackout and the customer they don't want to just turning on the lights or the TV. They want to turn everything on. Then this will be your choice because this able to deliver that 10 kilowatt for the backup, but only 1 hour. But sometimes it's saying, okay, when the grid is down, I need to minimize my power and I just don't need that much. Then I just need a larger size batteries to give me autonomy of the system. I can lasting for a few days. I just like running 1 kilowatt. Then the HVM is definitely your choice. And also with the same size of the battery, the HVM is a little bit cheaper, all right? Okay, some summary of the selling point, which is I mentioned. So it doesn't matter it's a single phase, 3-phase, doesn't matter on-grid, emergency backup, or off-grid. As long as the inverter supports off-grid, our battery is supporting that. But in the Australian market, there's no high voltage inverters that's supporting pure off-grid. They can do emergency backup for a short period of time. They cannot do off-grid, which there's a big difference. Off-grid, that means no grid at all. They're running the battery system 24/7. All right, and most safety, no internal wiring, and it's a real high voltage series batteries, which means no DC to DC inverters, giving you the highest efficiencies. And each battery is a 48 volts, or this is for HVM. For the HVS is a slightly different, but they all connected in series and getting the voltage for the ranges between 200 volts to maximum 500 volts, just for example. Some more improvements, basically based on the feedback from the customer, we're putting on the new HVM, the high voltage batteries, is the a separate dedication communication terminals. So you have multiple ports, multiple quick connectors giving you the, with different inverters, you have a different way to connecting the communications, and you don't have to open the top cover, only open at the left-hand side. And furthermore, power buttons showing the status of the batteries, or on the app to checking is the battery running okay. And my colleague Leo will basically show you the real product in the second half and just give you the what exactly changes and what those parts look like. And further down, this is just summarize what exactly what we're putting there. One thing I want to point out is the system performance in the cold temperatures. In the old system, because of the software, the hardware limitations, we're only able to, if the system reaches 12 degree positive or lower, there will be a current derate on the battery performance. Basically, lithium batteries is just like the lead batteries. It doesn't like the cold temperature. If you're running the battery at the low temperature with the same performance, you won't have the battery running for 10 years. It will basically cutting the battery life to half. But now with the new batteries, all the new BYD premium batteries, the temperatures is derated at positive 5 degrees Celsius, which we believe we're the leading battery manufacturer can drop the current derating at this low. With other battery manufacturers, they don't change on this, or they don't have software to control this. We don't even believe they can run in 10 years. And if you want to know how much we derated exactly, could you please just put in your emails? Then we do have a document we can send you. We can let you know what what exactly what we're doing, especially for those customers in Melbourne, in South Australia, or even New Zealand, because they're experiencing the cold temperature a lot. Further down is what inverters, compatible with the BYD batteries. As I mentioned, the old furnace SEMO, the new furnace SEMO and the Primal, the new Sungrow hybrid, those all are the high voltage inverters, and the Sunny Boy storage and the Goodway high voltage hybrid inverters. This is just showing you a minimum configuration list. Why this list is important for the high voltage system? I'll show you why, and you can actually go to the bydbatterybox.com or the alpspower.com.au to download this list. Okay, this is just give you one example with the furnace. And you can see we have the HVS and HVM. Why there's a dash and why there's a check. And 3 different inverters from furnace, SEMO hybrid and the new G24, and the Primal, that's the single phase, which is, I believe they'll be releasing in the next year very soon. And you can see this. This means with the SEMO G24 3-phase inverters, with the HVS 12.8 is not compatible. And also the story with the HVM 8.3. The reason is the batteries, because our battery, each different one, they have a working voltage range. For example, the 10.2 or the 10.2, that could be 500 volts, or the 8.3, they are 200 volts, which is this inverter doesn't running on this voltage on the DC side. So check carefully if customer saying, okay, I probably need a 12 or 15 kilowatt hour system. They can run the HVS. So for example, the customer need 20 kilowatt hour system and want the high voltage with the furnace inverters. What can the customer do? So they need to do this, parallel more batteries. So for example, the customer can get HVS 10 kilowatt hour, 2 of those in parallel, or they can get one HVM 20 kilowatt hours in one tower. So they give you a difference, but definitely this is more on the performance. This is more on the cheaper system, more affordable, and a more larger system. And further down, this is just giving you basically a demonstration, how multiple batteries they're connected and connecting to our inverters. And one more thing, okay, just give me 1 second, One thing I want to mention here, and Leo gonna mention or show you exactly, on the product itself. These batteries, the high voltage battery, they all coming with the built-in circuit breakers. It's a 63 amp, 1000 volts. We thought that this could be an easy story. You no longer need the external circuit breaker connecting to the inverters under the new Australian, the batteries 5139 installation standard. But turns out, because the 63 is way more than the inverter can handle. So which is the battery is matching up with the inverter output or input current on the DC side. So for example, the 22 for furnace, 25 for SMA, 40 for SMA, and 25 for Goodway and Sungrow. So the battery will matching up with this current. But then what's happened? Why then, in the standards, if you put in a 63 amp circuit breaker here, then you need to matching up with the cable. You need a 16 mil cable connecting to the inverter, and the inverter doesn't support the 16 mil cable. Then you have to install another external circuit breaker or a fuse holder for the system, which means now you're dropping down the current to 32, and you can put in a 16 mil between the circuit breakers to the batteries. And then from the other side, you are connecting a 6 mil cable to the inverter. Just give you one example. And what we need to do, the reason why we have a 63 amp circuit breaker is because some of the inverters we're working on or they're gonna release very soon, they are not capped at 25, they are 50 amp inverters, which is they are more powerful. That's why we have a 63 amp breakers here. So what we could do, like, you know, just like to not though. You to
Yo. Hello? Yo, sorry, a little bit technical difficulties. You guys probably having this in some of other webinars as well. We're all good to go. And just back to what I mentioned, I'm not sure when I lost you guys, but this is the commander box we're working at the moment, and we hopefully to release soon. And what this box doing is this allow the installer to connecting multiple batteries, the high voltage batteries. And basically, if you just having one batteries, you can also purchase this because to change the size of the breakers. And we are hoping this will basically, we releasing in Australian market, and you no longer require to purchase the external circuit breaker. Just more details what the structure of the product is. It's still a prototype, but hopefully we got the products released very soon, the end of this year, hopefully. And furthermore, it's just who we are, and we are the only BYD authorized service partner in Australia. And we cover the support, warranties, trainings, and warehouses, emails, and our contact number. And I would like to cover more about the issues we're having in the past few months regarding the after-sales service, and also to the customer have existing system, want to putting more batteries to their existing system, how they do those extension orders. So first, as a service manager for the Australian market, we did experiencing a lot of phone calls or emails that regarding old batteries failing, or the new batteries, what's the difference? Can you connecting the new battery to old battery? So actually, this is just because of we just releasing a many BYD a new premium series, many new products we released this year. And because the difference or this the stock abilities, like all the questions we're having in the past few months is actually basically pushing up to the maximum. Basically, we are working. To be honest, we're working very hard, but we're still not catching up the questions or the problems from the customers. What we're doing right now, okay. So now we're actually getting more service agents, which is we want to cover more states with or more staff to actually answer the phone calls, answer the emails. And secondly, with the replacement part, on the old gen batteries, now we got the factory reopened again, and we got enough stock of the 2.5 or the 13.8. So if you guys still waiting on the replacements, could you please letting us know again? Because now we have a new battery, we can do the replacement now, and apologize for the long waiting, and really appreciate your patience on, you know, when we cannot deliver the replacement, but now they are good to go. But unfortunately, 3.5 or 1.28, we're still waiting, and its ETA is still 1 month away. So after 1 month, we'll have enough replacement batteries for all the previous generation BYD battery. For the new premium series, we have loads of the spare parts, enough stock. If anything happened, all the parts we can dispatch in 1 or 2 business days. And also on the hotline, sometimes if you're experiencing there's no answer, please just give us a call back. We'll try to answer the phone calls as soon as possible. And with the email follow-up, basically, if you haven't heard us from 2 or 3 business days, give us a phone call, which is definitely gets your issues solved quicker. If anything we can do on the phones, it's much quicker, just sending us multiple emails, because sometimes it's actually lost in the old emails. And also we can support. So this is, I believe, we are guaranteed is if you just letting us know, okay, I want to do the service, I want to do the installation on Saturday, 2 p.m. or like 9 a.m. in the morning, just letting us know, we'll allocate our resources to help you on the weekend support instead of you waiting many hours on site. And also spare parts before attending. I know many customers, their installations, they are quite far away from the site. For example, like 2 or 3 hours one-way drive. And give us a phone call before you go there. The reason is, if anything you need to replace, if we know roughly what the issue is, we can send you a spare parts just in case if you need to do a replacement, you don't have to go there again. And further down on the extension orders. So because previously we required the online form, the extension ID to actually for, the customer have existing 2.5 or 13.8, they want another 1, another 2, we're requiring that form. But now, just because there's too many process and no one really likes it, this distributor doesn't like it, customer doesn't like it, and we obviously doesn't like this process at all. Like basically now we're giving you a simplified solution, which is no form, no extension ID. All you need to do is place your order from the distributors below. They are the national distributors we have in Australia. And the distributor will send order to us, which is the Alps Power, and as the back order. It's just the lead time at the moment, it's up to 3 months. And hopefully we can shorten that down, but just let you know at this stage, if you order now, it's probably need to waiting around 3 months to actually get the batteries. And some showcases, I probably run out of time, and some showcases between the new Furnace with the new HVM and this another, the HVM battery, sorry, HVS and the HVM. And this is the Sunny Island with the LVL in Australia. And we have, you can see the larger system, the LVL will be your ideal solution for like only 12 batteries, you having a 184 kilowatt hours. You can see how neat the installation is. Okay, and now we're gonna pass this to my colleague Leo, and he's gonna show you some of the real products and giving you the idea what the real products looks like and some features. Thanks, guys. And
thank you, Jay. Good afternoon. My name is Leo. I may have been talking with a lot of you guys, so it's good to see you in person. Hi, yeah. So today I'm going to introduce the Battery-Box Premium series, the HVS and HVM. But before that, let's have look at our whole Battery-Box Premium family, right? So this Premium series products was launched in 2020, early this year. Unfortunately, we actually prepared a new product launch event, and this was delayed by the coronavirus, right? But it's good. We have this showroom so that we can show you all of these lovely batteries, right? Here we got premium LVL 15.4. LVL stands for low voltage large. So it's ideal for off-grid or larger power storage scenarios. And we also got our premium LVS, which is low voltage small. Right, it's a stackable one. Each battery block is 4 kilowatt hours, supports on-grid and off-grid, and comes with internal 250 amps breaker, right? So it's quite unique. Right, but today we're going to focus on the HV. We got HVM and HVS. So HVM stands for high voltage medium because it has larger capacity, right? And HVS stands for high voltage small, right? So I'll explain the difference. So they look the same. If you look at here, they've got 2 bars, and the HVS got only 1 bar. Why we make these 2 similar models? It's because it's limited. It's limited by the inverter's current, right? So as you know, low voltage batteries and low voltage inverters, they work on 48 volts on the DC side, right? The current is not a problem. You can use very thick cable, and battery and inverter can support up to maybe 200 or 250 amps current. But for high voltage inverter, so because the voltage is pretty high and the current is very low. For instance, some inverter supports 16 amps max. And let's take an example for the Fronius Gen 24 Simul hybrid. So it supports, I think, is 25 amps max. So the current, the maximum current is limited. Then it all related to the voltage, right? Okay, so now we got different batteries. HVS, let's have a look. HVS model, 2.56 kilowatt hours, 102 volts, 38 kilo. It can output 25 amps continuously and 50 amps for 5 seconds, right? If your time's up, voltage and current, you got 2.5 kilowatts, right? And have a look at HVM. Each module is 2.76 kilowatt hours. It's 51.2 volts, which means that's normal 48 volt, we call it. 38 kilos. Continuously, it can output 50 amps. And the surge or peak power is 75 amp for 5 seconds. If your time's up, current and voltage, that's also 2.5 kilowatts. But remember, this current is limited by the inverter, right? So which means if you need high backup power, like in Fronius Gen 24, it can output 9 kilowatts backup power, then 9 kilowatts. Then the current is limited, then which means you need a high voltage, right, to achieve that backup power, right? Which means if you got 8 battery modules of HVM in a stack, you can achieve that power output. Or alternatively, you can use 4 or 5 of the HVS, because each module, the voltage is doubled than HVM. That's why we designed HVS and HVM. That's to be compatible with different inverter models, because we got 5 kilowatts high voltage inverter, we got 10 kilowatts hybrid high voltage inverters, and all of the current is pretty limited if you compare to the low voltage ones, right? So we do have a compatible inverter list and a minimum battery numbers list for you to select which one, HVS or HVM. But basically, if you want to have a smaller battery with high output power, you can go with HVS. If you need larger capacity, more battery energy stored in the customer's place, go with HVM, right? Okay, so that's the difference of these two models. It looks the same. Actually, the top part are identical, exactly identical. Only the modules, there are 2 bars here and 1 bar here. So if you accidentally mix them in a stack, there will be an alarm. It won't work and it won't blow up, right? Okay, so now I'm going to show you the products now. So same as a traditional or classical BYD stackable design, this battery model comes with a cover, a black cover, and a base, right? So, okay, if you just move a little bit, here is the base part, base plate. These 2 black parts comes in a box, and each battery blocks comes in a box. 38 kilo, remember? So today we have prepared a brand new box, and let's just unbox this battery model, right? So when you open up, you will see some cardboards to protect the battery modules. So we, from this generation, we have swapped the traditional plastic sheets and replaced them with this cardboard. This is more eco-friendly, right? And thanks for the feedbacks from all of you, right? So once you open it, you will see a MSDS sheet inside, and all of the quick setup guidance manuals, they come with the black part, the top part, right? And you can see it's relatively not too heavy. One person can easily lift up, right? And you can see these connectors at the bottom. So very easy to put them together. Okay, so let's have a look at how to lock them together. Let me move this one. So once you put them together, stack them, there is only 1 screw here to join them together, to lock them, right? 1 screw per module. So it's so simple, right? Okay, so once you put them together, and there is also a hanger attached to the wall, prevent it tipping down, right? So after I finish all of those, let's go to the cable connection part, right? So we have made this part actually so easy. First, these glands are IP55 level, protection level, so you can install it in outdoors, right? And you can see the depths. Okay, it's minimum. So it's easy to fit in under a roof. Let's remove this, this panel. Okay, so first, there is a very interesting design. We call it a clicker. All right, how does it work? There is a clicker here. So if you can zoom up a little bit, keep zooming, please. Yep. Yep. Maybe a little bit more. Right. Okay. So when you remove this cover, there is a clicker here. Okay. So this is a hardware protection. Once this clicker is released, immediately it cut down all of the output, all of the power, because we all know that the high voltage DC is so dangerous, right? So safety is always our priority, right? So with this clicker, once panel removed, there's no power at all. But this also brings a little issue, so which is when you put it back, make sure it's well fitted, right? To push the clicker down, right? Otherwise, there is no output. Right. Clicker. Okay. Then let's have a look at this area. So all of the cable connectors, cable entries are here and protected by this plastic cover. If you can see on the screen, there's plastic cover. So basically, it is impossible to touch all of any metal part inside, right? So it's pretty safe. For power cables, we got positive and negative. So you can see here, P plus and P minus. So this is a quick plug, right? Just insert the power cable and click it. That's it for power cables. And then here comes the most important part, which is the comms port. So two RJ45 plugs at the bottom. They are for communications parallel. So it's written here, right? In and out, two parallel multi-stacks. By the way, just want to emphasize again, because we see some questions regarding the parallel. Both HVM and HVS supports parallel connection for up to 3 stacks immediately. So, which means right now you can buy 3 stacks and parallel them together. And you do not need any additional device from BYD to do the combination, to do the parallel connection, right? So all you need is 2 or 3 stacks of batteries, and you can combine them together directly, and it will work. The purpose of the DC junction box or combiner box we are developing is to give you a choice. It's an accessory, optional accessory. Give you a choice for easier cable connection, for easier installation. And hopefully we can save some cost, because it's a pre-made in factory. So it will save, I believe it will save your installation time and energy, right? Okay, let's go back to the communication ports. So these are for parallel, in and out. And then we got this Ethernet. This is for connecting to BYD server for remote firmware updating or troubleshooting, right? And then we got these 2 ports to inverter. On left-hand side, it says CAN port. Right-hand side, it says RS485, which means this one. For instance, for Fronius G24, so it is RS485, so we use this port, right? We also provide another option, which is this 8 pins socket. So it is, sometimes it's easier to just connect with these connectors to the inverter. I can show you how to do it. So just push this orange part, just push it, and then it can easily be removed, right? So this part is simple. From left-hand side to right-hand side, this is pin 1, and this is pin 8. So in the quick setup, we have detailed pictures to show how to connect this connector to different inverters. And I'm going to show you, I have a cable and I'm going to show you, take, for example, because this one's easy. For instance, if we use Goodway or SunGrow, it's CAN port, right? CAN protocol. So it only requires 2 cables. We use the blue and white, just 2 cables to pin 1 and 2, right? So it's so easy. Just press down 1 and 2 and push them in. And that's it. And let's put it back. Just push it and lock it and double check. It's solid, right? So basically that's it. So in case we have a communication issue, we can try different options. RJ45, you can make another plug, or you can simply use these 8-pin connectors on the top. Here, say hello to this dip switch, right? So basically, you can forget this dip switch. It's only for parallel connection. If you only have 1 stack, don't need to touch it. They are all on the left-hand side position, right? If you are doing parallel connection, if you have 2 stacks, also you can ignore it. Only if you have 3 stacks. For the middle one, for the middle stack, just remove this the bottom dip switch from left to right, right? That's it, and it's well described in our quick setup guidance. Right? So basically, that's how to connect the cables. Right. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. And remove this part. Okay. So next step, I'm going to show you how to turn on and off the system. Right. So if you can zoom in, zoom out. Yep. Remember, this is IP55 protection level. There is a waterproof cover for the internal DC breaker, right? This one is a 63 amps DC breaker. So to turn on the battery, simply push up the breaker and the system will turn on, right? So to turn off, we highly recommend don't pull this breaker here. So instead, we highly recommend to turn on through this button. Press and hold for 5 seconds. So by pressing and hold for 5 seconds, it's like you turn off a computer, a laptop, through the start menu, right? By pull out, just pull out this breaker to turn off. It's similar to, you just unplug the power supply of your desktop or laptop, right? Yeah, there is risk because the power, all of the power internal, they are cut in a sudden. So we highly recommend just press and hold for 5 seconds to turn the system off, right? And always remember, when you turn on, always remember, turn on the DC fuse or breaker between the inverter and the battery first, and then the battery, and the last is the inverter, right? Okay, so basically for high voltage, it's so simple. And okay, so if you need to do parallel connection, obviously it requires the same battery numbers in each stack, right? And another feature I want to mention for HVM. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 battery blocks in a stack, but a unique design for HVM is it supports maximum 8 blocks, battery blocks, to be installed in one stack. So it's a bit tall, about this tall, but you got 22.1 kilowatt hours usable energy in just one stack, and the footprint is so low, so small, right? And if you want, you can parallel up to 3 stacks of 8 modules in one stack. You got more than 66 kilowatt hours battery capacity. So it's so simple and it's so powerful, right? So far, as Jay mentioned before, we got Goodway and we got SunGrow, and we got SMA Sunny Boy Storage and Fronius G24. And yeah, so we got all of these inverters compatible. And today we just got a call. There's a job that's an HVM with the Sunny Boy Storage 5 in Canberra. So we got installations every day and each day. All right. A tip for you to install these batteries is so Fronius Summer Hybrid. So if you want to install, you will need to get firmware update first from Fronius. And if you have some Goodway ET hybrid high voltage inverter, it also requires a firmware update, right? Then other than that, it's really a simple job to install the HVS, HVM batteries with the high voltage inverters. And we can see the HVS model jobs are increasing because the Fronius Gen 24, it can support high backup power, like up to 9 kilowatts, which is too much for other battery brands, but it's ideal for Byd Battery-Box Premium HVS. So this one is a really good products, right? Well, we can show you all of the products, but it's a pity that you cannot touch it. It's not like in all energy. You cannot touch it and feel how well this product is made. But yeah, just send orders to your distributors and see what these batteries can do for you, right? Okay, so basically that's the introduction for today. And we're going to send you today's recording of this webinar, and also yesterday's recording we're going to send you. And presentations, we're going to send you late today, right? And then if you need CPD points, please drop us an email and just state your name, your contact, and company. We can send you the certificates for CPD points. And in the future, we're going to make more webinar like this. And we are going to make joint webinars together with inverter partners like Fronius, like in Goodway or SunGrow and SMA, right? So next one should be with SMA, right? Our next joint webinar, high voltage webinar with SMA. And also Fronius, yes, we got 2 in September, right? So we will send out our invitation, right? Okay, so I'll handle microphone to Jay. Thank you, right.
Okay, thanks, Leo. And just 2 more slides, we're finished. All right. So basically, it's just we have a social media now. Can you guys hear me now? Yep. So we have our new social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and also the newsletters. If you guys want to get onto our newsletter list, simply if you can go to the bydbatterybox.com, which is the website I believe I showed earlier, bydbatterybox.com, and you can basically just join our newsletter list, and we basically will show you, which inverters is now compatible, what we're changing or what we're doing when we release a new product. And thank you guys, and to basically having 1.5 hours with us today. And just beware of, we're gonna do the SMA BYD and Fronis BYD trainings in the next following weeks, and basically cover both inverters and batteries, also free gifts as well. And thank you guys today, and we'll have the chat and the Q&A section for another 15 minutes. If you have any questions, please post your question. And in the chat or in the QA, please, if you need the 25 CPD points, please put your name and the email in the CPD point section. Just put in CPD, your name and email. We're sending the certificates later this week. Further than is, if you need how the temperature changes and how the BYD current derating profile is, also send your email and mention that current derating. We'll send you that documents as well. And thank you guys today, and have a nice evening and the afternoon.